Hello and welcome to Aset channel. My name's John Rowan. So in today's lesson we're going to talk about how often we do things. And there are two natural questions in English to ask how often we do something. And one of them is how often. But a lot of Japanese students mix these two questions together and sound a little bit unnatural. So we're going to look at the two questions. So the first question is, how many times a month do you eat sushi? So you're counting the times in the month. So when we use how many times, we need something here. How many times a day, how many times a week, how many times a month, how many times a year do you, and then your action, your verb, and your noun. So with how many times, we always need day, week, month, or year. Often Japanese people will leave this part out. It's very difficult to understand, so it's important to use this. Our answers are once a week, twice a month, 3 times a year, and of course we can change them. So I'm going to ask myself some questions and answer them myself. So, how many times a month do I eat sushi? I eat sushi about twice a month. I like sushi very much, but I only eat it about twice a month. Another question. How many times a year do I go to Nara? Well, I go to Nara maybe 3 or 4 times a year. I like Nara very much. It's a very beautiful place. Each season it changes a lot, so I like to go to Nara, so 3 or 4 times a year. So if we use how many times, we need day, week, month, or year. But if we use this next question, how often do you? It sounds very strange if you use day, week, month, or year. Generally, we don't say it. So the most natural way is, how often do you go to Italian restaurants? So for that, there are 2 different answers that you could give. So we can use once a week, twice a month, 3 times a year. So those answers are fine. But we can also use these words: often, sometimes, occasionally, or never. So both are okay. So I'll answer both ways. How often do you go to Italian restaurants? I go to Italian restaurants about maybe once a month. So I would say I sometimes go to Italian restaurants. Both answers are good. Another one. How often do you go to Osaka? I often go to Osaka. I do a lot of work in Osaka. So there I used often, but I can use one of these answers as well. So I go to Osaka maybe 3 times a week. So both styles are fine with a how often question. But with how many times, usually we use this style, unless it's never. If it's never, 0%, then how many times a month do you go to Fukuoka? I never go to Fukuoka. But other answers, we use this style. But with how often, we can use both styles. So, how often do you watch Aset channel? I hope the answer is very often, or always, or every week. So, hope to see you again soon here at Aset channel. Thank you very much. Goodbye.